Lavanda Brown has many years of experience in social justice and homelessness, and now she's brought that experience to the YWCA Greater Charleston as she is the new executive director. I sit down one-on-one with Lavanda for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Lavanda Brown, it's so nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. I'm so glad we finally met.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you greatly. Well, you know, when I was over here just a few days ago, I learned about you and YWCA, and I went back and looked at the Skirt magazine article that they did about you.
They did a great job.
Exactly right. And I want to read a portion of that particular article, and it reads this: Lavanda Brown's first paying job was at the YWCA in Savannah, Georgia. Now she is the executive director of the YWCA of Greater Charleston.
Yeah.
What got you from your first paying job at the YWCA to now being executive director here for the Charleston chapter?
Right. So at 13, I was a junior camp counselor in Savannah, and just really enjoy. I attended the YWCA as a participant, but when the opportunity came up to be a camp counselor, I was like, sure. And then I went off to college, got my degree in sociology and psychology, got my master's in counseling, ran programs around homelessness, employment, healthcare for about 25 years. And was, doing that in Savannah. Savannah's my home, so loved it. But got the opportunity, got the call, basically, that the YWCA was looking for an executive director. And so I thought about it and prayed about it, and decided to at least throw my hat in the ring and see if this was something that was for me. And it did take me back to my early days of being at the YWCA, the women there that were so supportive of us girls, and also very critical of us girls. I mean, I can remember them reminding us how to be ladies, young ladies, empowering us. And so the opportunity to go from being one of those girls that was empowered to having the opportunity to empower girls moving forward was something that I couldn't pass up.
And you talk about empowering. You said this quote: everything we do, we want to empower the women we come into contact with. Whether we connect her or we provide the service, both work for me. Tell me, who are the women in Charleston that you're empowering these days?
Absolutely. So I'll start with our young women. Okay. So we have a coding program where we are teaching, starting in elementary, we have girls as young as 3rd grade, where we're actually teaching them the skills for computer coding. Because we recognize that the technology field, when you look at the gap in wages between men and women, and particularly women of color, the technology field is an area where these young ladies can really earn a livable wage and do something that shows their talents. So we're working with them not only on the coding, but we're doing empowerment with them as well. So self-esteem building, just looking at character development, some of the same things that that I remember from the women at the YWCA. I don't know how long ago, but so those are our younger girls. So that's from 3rd grade all the way up to high school. And then we also have a career success series where we do monthly workshops around empowerment for our women who are either transitioning from one career to the next, from their long-term career maybe to entrepreneurship, or young women who are just coming out of college and just going into that career field. So we have professionals that come out from the community to share things like the art of networking, the pre-hire negotiating, because we recognize that also women tend to not negotiate their salaries on the front end as often as men do. And so just teaching women and empowering them to negotiate, because that can have a long-term effect on their 401k, on their salary increases. So we're really just trying to help just shore women up and give them that confidence they need to be able to just forge their way through their lives.
And you talk about confidence. I know you posted this on your Facebook page on August 11th, and this is it. Own the Room Part 2. Mm-hmm. Take your public speaking skills up a few notches, that is. I can't speak today. But Own the Room will be back on September 15th to offer a powerful new workshop the equivalent of day 2 of our original On the Room session
Yes.
on developing your message, engaging your audience, and crafting a memorable closing. So how do you develop your message, engage the audience, and also create a memorable closing when it comes to women?
Yes. So we have a wonderful partner, Mary Jo Romeo, who runs the On the Room series, and she is taking this program that she does all over the country, probably all over the world, but definitely all over the country, where she's teaching top and middle managers from large corporations how to present themselves. And so after becoming acquainted with us here at the YWCA, she thought it was important that the women that we're serving that may not have, this is a almost $600 per participant program, but through the YWCA, our ladies are able to go through this program at no cost to them. And so we're storytelling, learning how to open your presentation with something that will be memorable, how to be personable when you're talking with folks. And then just some of the basics, the eye contact, the listening and attending. So just a full day of taking the women from the skills that they have, and then building each hour on those skills. And at the end of the session, they get to watch themselves on video and see the growth just in the day.
Right.
Just in the day. And I can tell you, I've attended myself, and I've been public speaking for a long time,
Yeah.
but the things that I learned that just continue to help me, not only in presentations, but just in meetings, interviews with people like you.
Thank you greatly.
So yeah, it's extremely beneficial. And the women who come through that series are women who are on the verge of looking for employment, all the way to women who are trying to advance their careers. So it's a very good, diverse mix of women.
And you talk about confidence. Let me move from confidence to racial equality.
Sure.
I know that your friends over at the Ideals in Action are going to have, obviously, a particular event coming up on September 20th.
Yes.
And it is called Ideas in Interaction, how to build racial equity, that is, in Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build that in 2018?
Yes. Well, the sad thing is that we're still talking about it in 2018, and that we are still talking about racial equity this far beyond the beginnings of the Civil Rights Movement. So with our Racial Equity Institute, we are looking at the root cause analysis of racism in the United States, the intentionality of racism. I think that many people who come to our training initially understand that racism is wrong and understand that that we need to do something about it, but really hasn't gotten to the point of understanding how intentional, how this systemic racism and institutional racism was built to divide people. And so we go through the root cause analysis of racism. We look also at how you as an individual can go back to your circle of influence and address that racism, whether it's through policy, whether it's just through relationships, forming groups, diverse groups of people. But first, just understanding where you sit with your own biases and where you are with understanding that racism is systemic and is something that we have to address from a systemic level.
And let me take you over to the Dr. Martin Luther King Parade.
Yes.
That's coming up again this year,
Yes.
2019, I should say.
Yes.
What can we expect from you?
Well, you are definitely, we keep getting bigger and better. And I will tell you that it is probably the hardest thing that we do all year, but it is by far one of the most enjoyable things that we do. So it's going to be 10 days again. We're definitely going to have the parade. The parade, I think, is one of my favorite because it is something that every single person, you can be in the parade or you can come out and watch the parade. So whether you're an infant or elderly and everything in between, our churches, our business community, we love the bands from the schools. That's very fun. Absolutely. We're looking forward. So we just think, it's kind of like the whole city comes together.
Sure.
And that's just a moment where we can, celebrate. And I look out at the diverse number and the sheer number of people that come out to the parade. The ecumenical service, of course, always a great opportunity to sit and worship together. And then our business and professional breakfast, where we bring those leaders that come and just celebrate Dr. King and his legacy. So it's going to be It's going to be phenomenal again.
Now, what leaders are we going to see this year?
Well, we have not announced.
Oh. I thought I was going to get exclusive.
You thought you were going to get exclusive. We have not yet announced our keynotes for the ecumenical or the breakfast, but I can assure you that we're going to have a great time. I can assure you.
That is so great to hear. And when you think of the YWCA Charleston, what does that mean to you?
Well, the YWCA to me means a place where women know they can come, they can be heard, they can be empowered, and they can make a difference. So whether you're a participant in our programs, whether you're a member of our board or one of our committees or a supporter or volunteer, it's really a place where men and women, because we have we have men who serve on our committees, many who chair some of our MLK committees. So anyone who is interested in the success of women can benefit from participating with the YWCA, and that's what we're here for. We are here to make sure that women are empowered and that racism is not just swept under the rug, that we're actually doing something about it.
Where should this discussion about racism go next in your mind?
I really think it should go, we've got to take it to those folks that actually can impact change on a policy level. We've got to look at some of our laws, we've got to look at our practices, and even just our hiring practices, and really making it an equitable place, that it's not good enough just to make things fair, but equitable, so that we're actually addressing the fact that some people are coming to the table later than others. And so that's how we look at it through the Racial Equity Institute, is that we have to look at all of our positions in life through an equity lens.
And when you take off your social justice hat, who is Lavanda Brown?
I'm a mom. I'm a mother of 2 adult boys. I'm a grandmother of a 2-year-old. I'm a beach bum. I love, you can catch me at the beach, anytime I have some free time. And I just love music. So if there's a live band playing somewhere, invite me. I'll be there.
There you go. So let's get back to the YWCA again in this particular Charleston chapter. What should the headline be about the YWCA in the next 5 years?
That's a very good question, because we have been around, for 111 years, and we have had so many evolutions during that time. But I think that the YWCA in the next 5 years is going to be that cornerstone for not just the African American community, but the community in general. I do think that the YWCA is convening diverse groups of people to come together to address issues. So I think the YWCA is going to be a beacon of not just hope, but a beacon of progress for a community. And I think Charleston is that community. I think that the YWCA mission and Charleston's history and Charleston's Charleston's a very friendly city. We're very friendly. But I think that the cordiality mixed with actually having some strategies to do something is going to make the YWCA and Charleston going to shine the light on what we're doing here in Charleston, in the Low Country.
Hey, you talk about Charleston, you talk about the issues, you talk about your mission for the YWCA. What issues do you want to tackle next in your mind?
The wage gap between men and women. I really think looking at how we can not only help women get careers that pay better wages, but really looking at the policies that keep that wage gap in existence. That when hiring, actually having employers, the human resource departments, really look at what their stats look like on hiring men and women of equal qualifications, but offering men higher wages than they offer the women, or increasing salaries over time for men more than women. So I think really having people look, I'm data driven,
okay.
I come from a counseling and sociology background, so really looking at the data, getting people to really look at their data. I think right now we're educating folks around racism and having them look at their systems, but I think really having them look at their data and be real about what their data says and how they can address that.
That is so great to hear.
That's good.
Well, Lavanda Brown, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
Love you too.